So in the mycology section, first starting with the systemic mycosis, all of these following infections can cause pneumonia in a patient and can disseminate, so they can go from the lung to other sites in the body. All are caused by dimorphic fungi, which means they all have the capability of being in two forms. In cold weathers, like in the soil, for example, when it's not too hot and it's kind of cold, so it's 20 degrees Celsius, then it would look like as mold. It would be in the mold form. While if the environment is kind of hot, just like in the human body, the temperature is 37 Celsius, so it would be in the yeast form. The only exception for this is the coccidioids, which we will talk about over here. It's it's a spheral, not yeast in the tissue. So in outside the tissue, the human tissue, it's mold because it's under cold conditions, while in the hot conditions or a warmer tissue, just like the human tissue, it would be in the spheral shape or form. The systemic mycosis can form granulomas, just like TP. So if they move from the lung to other sites, they can create these granulomas. Cannot be transmitted from person to person, but like for the TB, for the tuberculosis, if a patient was in contact with a healthy person, then he would just transmit the infection to the healthier person. But that does not happen in the systemic mycosis. The treatment for all of these are the azole type treatments, just fluconazole or itraconazole. That's for local infection. If the infection have not spread to any other place and it's only saying in one space, one place, that's the azole groups. While if it's systemic and goes out from the lungs to different tissues, then we use the amphotericin B, which is unfortunate because the amphotericin B has a lot of side effects. So the first infection that we're talking about is the histoplasmosis. The only way, or actually the most specific way to differentiate these infections from each other is their endemic location, like where do they exist. So for example, in Mississippi and Ohio, that's for histoplasmosis. If it's Mississippi or Ohio or the river valleys, then it's histoplasmosis. That's in the question stem. The pathologic features, they are macrophages filled with histoplasma and smaller than RBC. So if we imagine this is a macrophage, it contains a lot of teeny tiny histoplasma. And we know that the macrophage is a little bit larger than an RBC. So this is an RBC. So definitely these teeny tiny small histoplasmas are larger, or I mean are smaller than the RBC. So the RBC is much bigger than those histoplasma. And if we look in the histology, these are the histoplasma contained within the macrophage. So unique signs and symptoms, it could create palatal or tongue ulcers, and also splenomegaly because it affects the reticuloendothelial system. So the reticuloendothelial system has a few immunological cells, just like the macrophages, and because it's contained within the macrophages, it may lead to splenomegaly. The patient may also develop pancytopenia and also erythronoidosum, which is a robust immune response, which means it's a strong immune response, and basically signifies that the immunity is intact and that patient has a strong immunity. Notes, that's histohigh, so basically it's within the macrophages that this is where we can find them. It's associated with bird or bat droppings, just like someone goes in adventure to a cave and gets uh, encounters um, 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 a bat over there or a bird. That's how it's transmitted. The diagnosis via urine or serum antigens. Of course, we can do cultures and we can do the KOH in addition to that culture, but that may be time consuming. So The quick, fast urine or serum antigens are the things to go to. That's first. So histoplasmosis. Second is the blastomycosis. It's found in eastern and central U.S. and in Great Lakes. The pathologic feature of it is that it has broad-based budding. So this is how it looks like. It's like two pieces together, and it has like a board base. That's where the name came from, board-based budding of blastomyces, and it's the same size as RBC. So each one of those is the same size as RBC, okay? And then for the unique signs, the inflammatory, it can cause inflammatory lung disease, but it will also disseminate, it can disseminate and go to invade the bone or skin, voracious lesions, and may mimic the squamous cell carcinoma. So this is how it looks like. And that's why we say it looks like kind of squamous cell carcinoma. For the coccidioidomycosis, it's found in the southwestern US and California. Well, California is known to have a lot of earthquakes. The thing about it is that within the human body, it looks like spheral, not a yeast. So yeah, not a yeast. Um, just like the others, all of the others were yeasts within the human body, but this one is a spheral, and this spheral is actually filled with the endospores of the coccidioides. So it's not empty; it has the endospores of this uh, mycobacteria, myco mycosis, my mycosis, yeah. So it disseminates to bone and skin, and it creates as well erythema but because it's transmitted through dust or through sandstorms, earthquakes after earthquakes, it's easier to call it desert pumps for the erythema. And then the arthralgia, it can cause also multiform arthralgia. We can also call it desert rheumatism. It can cause meningitis, of course, and that includes the headache and the neck stiffness as well. It's associated with dust exposure, as we said, in endemic areas, archaeological excavations, or earthquakes. That's three. Um, and there you go. This is the spheral shape, and it has, oh, actually, it's filled, like completely filled with the endospores of this infection. Okay, so the other one, or the last systemic mycosis, is the Paracoccidioidomycosis. Okay, it's found in Latin America. There is a budding yeast of Paracoccidioides with captain's wheel. So basically, this is how it looks like. There you go. This is the captain's wheel. So this is an identifying feature for this infection. And of course, it's much larger than the RBC. So this is an RBC, and this is our captain's wheel. It's similar to mycosis. That's for the signs, and it's more in males than in females. And that's all for memorization. Now we have this map. The green color is about where the histoplasmosis is found, most likely, or the blastomycosis geographically where to be found in the coccidioidomycosis. And that's it for this page.